New tonight, the flu is throwing its biggest knockout punch to date around here. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. Listen to this, folks. It's so bad at JCPS that learning will only be remote until things get better, and that means no school in the buildings tomorrow or Monday. So far, well, if you've had it, you certainly know what I'm talking about. The worst symptoms: fever, chills, body aches, and a terrible cough. JCPS becomes the biggest school district to make the switch due to this expanding flu and respiratory virus. Take a look at our updated map we're showing you on the screen right now. We're showing you several school districts that have switched to NTI, learning from home, but others just couldn't do that. In Floyd County, the spread of the illness got so bad they canceled classes for the rest of the week. WHAS11 night teams Jose Alonso and photojournalist Emma Gefter headed to Bullitt, Shelby, and then back to Louisville, talking with parents on keeping kids home for school.
Officials have told us a mixture of diseases are impacting schools across Kentuckiana, from Floyd County students not having any classes for the rest of the week to most recently Jefferson County Public Schools now switching to 2 NTI days.
Our kids are sick, which means we're getting sick and our teachers are getting sick.
JCPS campuses will have a 4-day weekend without students and staff. The school district announced lessons will be taught digitally on both Friday and Monday. The news put Anita Herron of Shively at ease. Her daughter, Leah Ivy Rose, attends Schaffner Traditional Elementary.
I just had surgery, so I had to make the decision, and she's having an asthma flare-up. So normally if it's for an asthma flare-up, I just send her to school with her inhaler and she goes to see the nurse and we just push on. But we had to make that decision to keep her home.
Herron is a JCPS bus driver and says she saw this announcement coming. Recently, out of every 5 kids she would routinely pick up on her route, only 1 would be present, which brought concerns for her kindergartner's health.
We discussed just sending her to school in a mask, but if all the other children are not wearing masks, then she's not going to want to wear a mask either. She doesn't understand the gravity of the situation.
Go to the green one.
Over in Floyd County, David and Candace Holt are navigating the school district's almost week-long closure due to illness.
Just having 2 in the home that are already sick and trying to isolate and make sure everybody is healthy, I could only imagine the same thing is happening in the school.
The Holts have 7 kids that attend Mount Washington campuses. Candace says they've been trying to keep them entertained by visiting playgrounds and other activities, but it's eating into her work time.
It is actually impacting me a lot. I am self-employed, and so a lot of things rely on me to get those things done, and I am behind.
As the doors remain closed at several campuses, parents praise the effort to stop the spread, but some are left with the responsibility of balancing childcare and careers. Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
JCPS reports that attendance levels were holding at about 84%. Despite NTI, JCPS does say that all athletic and extracurricular activities will continue as planned. Now to more of our coverage on this. The night team also headed to Shelby County. The Shelby County School District had expected to return after a couple of days of NTI. Superintendent Josh Matthews says attendance was going back up by Tuesday of this week, but then staff absences only got worse. He said flu has hit teachers hard in Shelby County, so they had no choice but to move to NTI. Cleaning crews have been sanitizing and deep cleaning the campuses. Matthews says he's pleased with the support he's been getting from teachers and parents.
We understand the burden it puts on parents. I have my son here today with me because it is tough. It's tough to find babysitters and those things on short notice. So we understand the burden it places on our public, but we also know that our job is to keep our students and staff safe.
He also told us that this is the first time in a long time that Shelby County had to close because of illness. He said the district does plan on going back tomorrow. That's right, on Friday. But if the absences continue, they will call it off again tomorrow morning around 5 a.m. So look for that right here on Good Morning Kentuckiana at 5 a.m. And of course, our website, WHAS11.com.
Fire-based EMS is worth $8 a month.
All news since 6 on the WHAS 11 night team. In southern Indiana, the Utica Township Fire Protection District and the city of Jeffersonville are talking, making costly changes to fire and EMS coverage to both the township and the city. Tax dollars stolen from the people of Clark County. The former sheriff, Jamie Knoll, now serving a 12-year prison sentence for it. But the fallout is continuing to this day. Since all of that happened, the Jeffersonville Fire Department has been helping out Utica Township in Clark County. Now the two are talking about creating a new fire territory to make it permanent. WHAS11 Night Team's Clarice Shaley and photojournalist Aspen Hester found out it would also impact taxes.
The blunt words from Joe Jarls, president of Utica, Indiana Township Fire Protection District.
We immediately recognize that the citizens of Utica Township are at grave risk of the loss of life and property.
Utica and Jeffersonville Fire at the front of the conversation in Jeffersonville City Hall.
Our board here and the council just all working together to create a better community, because I know we've come out of some areas of distrust.
The fallout continuing from the Jamie Knoll scandal. Taxpayer money stolen by the former sheriff, a decade of poor fire service as Knoll ran both New Chapel Fire and EMS. Now the first of 3 public meetings about creating a new fire territory between the township and city.
This is a huge win for us.
The merger would add 3 staffed stations along with 4 ambulances for emergency calls.
I'm pretty excited about this. I get a little excited when I start talking about the EMS stuff.
Not to mention create jobs.
Clark County, Jeffersonville, Utica has not had these services provided, so I think the citizens are ready for this to happen.
But taxes would increase for Jeffersonville and Utica. For example, looking at property taxes for Utica Township based off a home valued at $100,000, if you're paying $459 now, with $38 going to fire services, the change would add $144 to your bill of $603, with $182 going to fire services.
For years, they've been paying deflated prices. But now what are they going to get? They're going to get a professionally trained fire service as well as top-notch EMS.
There's going to need to be a shift in funding in order for this agreement to happen, but there seems to be a lot of support backing this change. In Jeffersonville, Clarice Shaley, WHAS11 Night Team, on your side.
Again, as we reported, they're still talking, and there are 2 more public hearings on this matter, February 11th at 5 p.m. and then again on the 20th at 4 p.m. Both are going to be held at City Hall. Utica and Jeffersonville will make their decision on March 13th, and then the state of Indiana, though, has the final approval. Meantime, speaking of Jamie Knoll, today auctioneers west of Indianapolis sold 29 more items seized as evidence in the Jamie Knoll investigation. Knoll, of course, is the former Clark County, Indiana sheriff. He's in jail after pleading guilty to 27 felonies last fall. One item up for auction today. Take a look right here. Yes, this is a 1953 Plymouth train engine seized last March. Indiana State Police believe it was the military surplus that Knoll took for himself, and that train, the engine car, sold for $3,000 today. Other items include several Milwaukee power tools, shipping containers, and a rollback truck. As part of Knoll's plea agreement, he must pay back at least $3.1 million in restitution to the taxpayers of southern Indiana. Well, this time last night, we were right in the middle of a thunderstorm that even rattled our building at 11 o'clock. But did things ever start changing tonight? As Ben Pine's going to show us, Ben, the cold air is flowing right back in.
You got it. Hour by hour here, Doug. The rain is now off to the southeast. You can see that clearing sky and that wind coming in from the northwest. So it's doing its job as that cold front moves off to the south. You can see the numbers are dropping down to around freezing in Paoli, 38 now in Louisville, lower 40s off to the southeast. So overnight tonight, we'll see a low temperature near freezing, and tomorrow a cool day with some sunshine, temperatures topping out in the 40s for your Friday afternoon. We get a one-day break in the rainfall, then it comes back on Saturday. We'll be tracking some more showers and thunderstorms for part of your weekend, and then next week we're going to be talking about some snow potential on the way coming up in our Weather Impact Team forecast.
Ben, thank you. All new right here at 11 o'clock. We learned from the feds tonight that a Louisville man has been sentenced for pointing a laser at the police helicopter pilot in Louisville. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 33-year-old Justin Freeman of Louisville pointed a laser at the Metro Police helicopter as it was moving through the air in September of 2023. Laser beams can blind helicopter pilots and other pilots. Freeman will spend 3 months in jail and then 3 more months on home incarceration. The U.S. Attorney in Louisville saying it could have been tragic for the helicopter crew, other aircraft, and people on the ground. Blackiston Mill Bridge in Floyd County, Indiana is now closed to foot traffic as well to cars and trucks. A clogged dam, rainfall and snowmelt led to a rush of water that's left the Blackiston Mill Bridge closed indefinitely. Now, 5 days later, there's still no official timeline on when the bridge will reopen. The problem, the county can't get access to the repairs because it is on private property. Even the federal government isn't allowed to clear the trees clogging it up.
The diversion of that water around the eastern bank is what appears to have caused the issue. We are trying to either get voluntary permission from the landowner to access that, to help remedy that. And if we don't get that in a timely fashion, then we're going to have to try to attain that authority through a court injunction.
The Floyd County Commissioner there, Al Knable, said it would not be worth the $500,000 cost to fully repair the bridge since it's scheduled to be demolished for a new replacement coming in 2027. According to ABC News, President Donald Trump now finalizing plans to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Senate Republicans like Kentucky's Rand Paul agree with the plan. He told WHAS11 News the power should be handed to the states.
I don't think they would notice it being gone, mainly because most of your local property taxes and some of your state income taxes go to schools. It's I think over 50% of the state budget goes to schools. So it's a primary focus of your state government and your local government. Your school board is picked locally, and that's the way really our founding fathers intended it to be. And I think the more decentralized, the better.
No word yet on when President Trump plans to sign that executive order, but sources tell ABC News the conversations are actively happening. And if he did that, would it be challenged in the courts? Our Verified team looked at that question. Does President Donald Trump have the authority to dismantle something like the U.S. Department of Education?
In 2023, President Donald Trump made a campaign promise to close the DOE.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states.
Democratic lawmakers claim he cannot do that with an executive order. Let's verify if that's true using these sources. The Constitution gives the president a number of powers, like granting pardons, vetoing bills, and acting as commander-in-chief. The Constitution says nothing about abolishing federal agencies. Congress has that power through legislation. Federal law does allow the president to give lawmakers what's called a reorganization plan to consider. It would lay out how the agency's operations could either be cut or passed off to another agency. Even with Republicans in control in both chambers, support for eliminating an entire department historically has not come easy. There are also filibuster rules that could force a supermajority vote on the issue, which is even harder to secure. Another option, Congress can pass what's called a Reorganization Act, which would give the president specific guidelines to follow. The last time that was used to abolish a federal agency was in 1933 under FDR. So we can verify, no, the president does not have the power to abolish a federal agency on his own. He would still need congressional approval. The president's executive order can still heavily impact the Department of Education by shutting down programs and shifting operations to other parts of the government. With your Verify, I'm Courtney Robinson.
And a real treat for you right now. Before we head to our break, we want to bring you what's become a tradition right here in Louisville. Thanks to the amazing voices of the All-State Choir, the Kentucky Music Educators Association is holding its conference in Louisville right now at the moment, and the choir students sing from the floors of the Hyatt Regency downtown. Hear him singing the national anthem tonight. This video recorded by our own producer Dewey Jones, who's a student teacher in the music program at No Middle School. He recorded this video last night in the Hyatt. The students do this during the conference evenings as they meet. Another round of winter weather.